tremendously bad administration. The sad part is you have individuals that want to sit and troll and defend the administration blindly, but they can't point to anything that is really worth defending, that is so substantially better now than it was under Biden or even before. No, everything is tended to have gotten worse in every way.
Yep.
So the Coast Guard didn't just change the classification of swastikas and nooses. They got called out on it, then they changed it back and said that anybody who said they changed it is lying. So they're gaslighting.
They didn't change it back. They didn't. The thing is, they didn't change it back. What they did is what you said. Is they put out a statement saying that anybody who uses those symbols or still there's no use of those symbols. Blah blah blah. No, it's actually written in there. They changed it from. They changed it to a potentially divisive material, and that's what's written in that change. So that piece hasn't changed back to what it used to be. It's just that somebody put out a statement. It was the commandant of the Coast Guard put out a statement claiming that, oh, it's still the same. Well, it's not. You actually changed the law.
The president's press secretary also lied about it.
Oh yeah, the president's press secretary always lies.
Yeah, she's always
also lying. Laredo, Texas, where you mentioned the wall is coming to. That's one of those towns where you can buy a cheap ass house for $20,000 if you don't mind living in Laredo, Texas.
Like I said, one of my schoolmates, and of course, I know as far as I know, he's still in. He spent most of his life in Texas, but that was his home city and everything. So I remember him talking.
And they're gonna have to they're gonna end up doing eminent domain on a lot of homes if they're trying to do that. It's also gonna destroy the ecosystem that's there and everything else. It's just a bad idea and it's something that shouldn't really happen. There's a better solution, but they're not gonna look for a better solution because the wall is a showpiece and that's all they want.
Well, the issue is with the frickin' wall is that 2/3 of Texas's border with Mexico is the Rio Grande River.
Right.
And you can't put a wall up where you have a river. Where are you going to put it? If you put it in the middle of the river, then you kill people, they drown trying to get around the wall. If you put it on land, then you're screwing the farmers who own the land who need access to the river.
Yeah,
so
for their product. Yeah, you're messing up.
Well, honestly, they don't care about killing people. We can already see they really have no care in the world about killing people, especially brown people. So the issue is that you put it in, even if you put it in water, it messes with the farmers because it kills the ecosystem that is actually helping the farmers. That's right there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, they don't care about killing brown people until some poor dad holds up his 3-year-old daughter who was killed by whatever bullshit because they were putting barbed wire balls in the middle of the river that were catching people, and then the people drowned. And but
I won't even say. Now we have to be honest about it. They didn't even care about that. They legitimately didn't care. The only reason that they said anything about it is because people got outraged. So they don't. They're bombing. They're legitimately killing people in fishing boats, saying they're gonna make it to USA in a fishing boat off the coast.
And they're drug dealers and everything like that. Speaking of that, and I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but the education restructuring plan is in place, and they're saying it doesn't involve student debt, but a lot of experts are still worried, and Trump administration is acknowledging difficulties in transferring education programs to other agencies, according to an internal document. But a lot of people are worried about what this new streamlined education department is going to look like if they go to other agencies.
It'll be incompetent, and it's not entirely on purpose, but it's the consequence of what happens when you put in a bunch of assholes.
Well, on top of that, with this reclassification and all the other things that they've done, and I just read the article a little bit of the article today, but like they're taking away particular professions and no longer calling them professional professions.
Right.
For example, the nursing profession, speech pathology, even in IT. You go to school for this profession. You also get student loans around that professional degree. Now you're not going to have access to those student loans because you're not considered a professional position anymore. So yeah, this whole restructuring screwing everybody.
Yeah, it sounds like it and everything. Just really quickly, what is our thoughts around what some people are saying is a divorce in the MAGA party? So even Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene voters say they're sticking with her despite the Trump feud, and apparently is shaking up MAGA. Matter of fact, Washington Post was saying that mom and dad are separated, Greene and Trump and everything like that. So is this? Go ahead.
Trump has lost his net approval. He's lost 11% approval. He's gone from 51% approval, 52% approval a week after he was elected to 41% right now. So he's lost 11 points in 10 months. And yeah, some people are going to peel away. It's crazy how much sense Marjorie Taylor Greene makes now. Like she seems perfectly rational after years of saying a bunch of crazy crap. She's decided to make sense, and it's kind of awesome. Now people can claim, yeah, she'll shift back to MAGA when it becomes convenient, but maybe it will never become convenient again. Usually, when a president loses this much approval, they don't come back that much. Biden lost a shit ton of approval when he pulled out of Afghanistan, never got it back, just kept going down and down.
Yeah, it kept going down and down. And by the way, it looks like
what you're saying is right, Rick. The cracks that have now happened in the Teflon Don armor. Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of those who's helped with that. I do think that she's doing a lot of this because she wanted to run for the general election, and she's trying to cross the way and get that extra backing. And there are things that she still is adamantly for and adamantly against and all the other stuff. I do appreciate the speaking out rationally, but don't. I think that because of the fact that Trump, the MAGA base, fell in love with Trump because he was quote unquote doing something, and they felt he spoke for them, and he never really kept up with that because the MAGA base fell for the okie doke because Trump was always making everything about himself. If you insult me, they're really insulting you, and you're America. No, man, if they insult you, they insult you. But MAGA fell for that trap. And now they're starting to see that because of the Epstein list. That was one of the things I think that really caused a huge fissure. And people started to see that, okay, I've got to find out who am I really supposed to talk to. And honestly, the Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk issue. Right. Again, what happened to Charlie Kirk was atrocious. But there was already a budding rivalry within MAGA between Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk. Those two bases were splitting. And now there is no Charlie Kirk. There's just the wife who's kissing up to J.D. Vance.
Yep. Yeah, she's definitely kissing up to J.D. Vance. Speaking of people doing all kinds of things in the Trump world that are then seen to be illegal, it looks like the judge yesterday has halted Trump's deployment of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. So Trump administration ordered to halt unlawful guard deployment in D.C. So maybe there'll be some blocking of some of the things that are going on here in North Carolina as well. But it looks like he has already had another blow to some of these things that he's doing and everything. Were either one of you surprised, and this is on another topic, Ed, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance being snubbed for Dick Cheney's funeral, because Dick Cheney did
Well,
pass
no,
away.
the Cheneys hated this administration. Now, people have talked about Cheney's legacy because he kind of lied us into the Iraq War, which was a disastrous war. Cost $1 trillion, killed 1 million people. Didn't get us. Screwed up the Middle East for decades. But he was a normal politician for all that. I mean, yeah, he did a bunch of stuff that was unconstitutional, but he was a highly experienced politician. He believed in normal politics, even though he was and his daughter even more so hated what politics has become under Trump. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that they didn't want those guys at his funeral.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and everything like that. What's our take on it looks like Newsom and other leaders in California, where you are, Rick, are blasting Trump's quote unquote idiotic plan to kickstart offshore oil drilling?
Well, it's just vindictiveness. It's just, we're gonna, screw my enemies. So, but it all plugs into the current situation. Trump got 49.7% of the popular vote. Harris got 48.2%. Right. The Republicans won the House by 5 seats out of 435. Their margins are very small, but Trump has been governing as if they had a landslide victory and he had a mandate. And he's pushed through a bunch of shit that the people who voted for him have no concern for. They don't give a crap about a ballroom. They wanted lower inflation. They wanted a good jobs outlook, lower prices. They're not getting any of that. What they got was a closed down border. And so that's the one thing that Trump has delivered that his voters voted for. But I doubt it makes much of a difference in their daily lives.
Well, think about things that can make a difference in people's daily lives and everything like this. Is a small victory, and it does come from the Trump's transportation department. But I'm just wondering what y'all's thoughts are, because if you're going to test what can happen in accidents, you probably need to have different models and everything like that. So I thought that there was already one of these and everything along those lines, but now they're saying that the feds have unveiled a new female crash test dummy, and apparently this is the first ever female crash test dummy. It seems to me that you're going to have a test of crash dummies to see how crashes are going to impact families and people. You need to have both little people as well as both men and females, but at least they're saying that this one is a more realistic female crash test dummy to make the cars safer. So what is y'all's take on this? Because it seems like this is the first time this has ever happened.
Well, historically, medical devices and other things, drugs, have been tested on white adult men, and they kind of just take wild guesses about what it might do to people who aren't white guys. There's a crazy thing. I've had people have been looking at my kidneys now for about 8 years, and so I've learned about kidneys. And what is crazy is that there are 2 sets of numbers, 2 sets of judging your kidney numbers, one for white people and one for black people. And so black people can have bad kidney numbers, but according to these 2 different scales, they can be told by their doctor, you're fine. It's just different for black people. And I looked it up, read about it. It turns out the 2 different sets of numbers are based on one study of I don't know, a few dozen black guys done in like 1977.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And what it showed was that black people on average, according to this study, have more muscle than white people, and the more muscle you have, the higher your creatinine numbers are. But the deal is, you look at the way people looked in 1977, people were skinny. Everybody was jogging and doing cocaine, and people had totally different bodies than now. when 70% of Americans are overweight or obese, which includes black people. So they're basing these kidney numbers on on a teeny little study and obsolete physical conditions of people. So it's crazy that they don't do more testing.
Well, speaking of the crazy and all along those lines, and we'll get to some other things, including I've got a question for Sasha very shortly. But I know that Jacoby and others have brought up South Africa and what they're doing with immigrants. But apparently, the White House is going after South Africa because they hit out at the South African leader for running his mouth over the U.S. boycott of the G20. Because I think the G20 will be taking place in South Africa, and I guess that they're not going to be showing up. And their South African president running his mouth against Trump is what is being
so
reported.
that Trump doesn't. South Africa is largely run by black people. South Africa is 80% not African Americans, but Africans. It's a black government, and so of course he's going to hate the government, right?
Yep. He's definitely gonna hate the government and everything like that. Hey Sasha, it seems like there was a 24, and you'll probably be talking about it in about 30 minutes and everything, but it seems like there was a 24-point plan that was put together by Putin and Trump that Zelensky has rejected, and all along those lines. So what's your take on this? It seems like they were trying to have some sort of peace plan once again, and from what I read, Zelensky and the European nations are like, that's all right. This does not look like it's going to go in our favor or be good for us, so we'll pass. But what's your take on it?
Okay, I will definitely discuss it shortly on our Ukrainian show. Although I'm going to do it alone, well, maybe you, Mark, or maybe somebody else want to help me, Rick or Jitovi. Now, the situation is this. This is a deflection of Trump from his problems with the Epstein files, with the economy, with just everything, whatever he touches. You see, remember that in his life, everything he touched, he destroyed, corrupted, the bankrupted. It's just the nature of the man. It's a very evil man who is inflicted a lot of bad things to people around him, his family, his countrymen, everything. So this is just a continuation of the same. Now this plan, you're talking about the plan. It's not a plan, it's a noise. It's a noise to get attention away from his problems. It's even written by, it seems to me like 7th graders. They don't even know the diplomatic language. They don't know the any formula how to create a valid document. They don't know, and they don't care, and I'll tell you why. Because nobody thought, even for a second, that there is a chance that Ukraine will agree to this so-called peace plan of Trump. What I'm surprised, though, is that this horrible document, it was leaked here and there, that there's something that it was put together by Vitkov and his Russian counterpart Dmitriev, who's a son-in-law of Putin. And this is at the best. Maybe this is something just for a further discussions or so. And that's what Rubio, actually, when Rubio was asked what he thinks about it, Rubio says, well, this is something for further discussions, something like this. Actually, Rubio also lied because he was involved in preparation of that document, believe it or not. Wow. So finally, Trump gave his name to this document. Finally. So now this is no longer leaked information. It's now Trump's peace plan. Oh my God, how low people can go to even put their name of this horrible document. I don't want to analyze. Maybe I'll do it on a show in 20 minutes, but I'll just briefly tell you that out of 28 points, probably as many as 25 are clearly unacceptable to Ukraine, maybe more than that.
Wow. So yeah, it doesn't sound like a good plan at all. So I'm sure people will be rejecting that plan, and then we'll see what else craziness they come up with and everything like that. It looks like Trump,
It's already been rejected.
right, it's rejected.
Right.
But I'm saying if they come up with another one, because I'm sure they'll come up with some counter plan and everything. It looks like doing a Homeland Security roundtable at the White House that was held recently. Donald Trump revealed that tech billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg and others are what got him to from deploying troops in San Francisco. So what is our thoughts around this? How much power do the tech billionaires have and everything like that? Because apparently he was saying he got a bunch of calls, including from a lot of the technocrats that told him, don't bring the military down to San Francisco.
Well, they've got a lot of power with a guy who loves billionaires, who kind of semi-falsely considers himself sometimes he's a billionaire, sometimes he's lying about being a billionaire, but he loves them, and he'll play along with them at a critical time when it's maybe not great to be kissing billionaires' ass, where yesterday he announced that he was going to issue an executive order suing any state that tries to regulate AI. Mm-hmm. And unregulated AI in the hands of greedy tech billionaires is a risky proposition. And he's going to shut down any state that tries to regulate them.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to shut down any state that tries to regulate them. Rick, did you tell me, or maybe I heard it elsewhere, that because I'm sure this is going to piss him off if I can use that kind of language, because as we've said several times, he's not a big fan of black and brown people and all along those lines. But did Trump used to own Miss Universe, or was it Miss America?
Yes.
Okay, it was Miss Universe.
I mean, he owned Miss Teen USA, I believe, and Miss USA and Miss Universe.
Well, he's going to really be upset because apparently the latest Miss Universe winner was a Mexican lady by the name of Fatima Bosch. So I'm sure he's going to have a fit over that.
No, he doesn't care. As long as he can see the contestants either naked or in their underwear, he's okay with that.
It doesn't matter what their nationality or anything is, as long as he can see them in their outfits or lack thereof. Yeah, that makes sense and everything like that. Wow. It looks like appeals court has paused release of hundreds arrested by ICE during Operation Midway Blitz, which was one of the operations in Chicago. So it looks like in that case, they're halting the release of those detainees. So we'll see if they can actually get freed soon and everything like that. So what is our take on this notion? And by the way, this is kind of the interesting remark. Vance is pleading for patience on the economy, and this apparently some people are saying is a sharp departure from Trump's way of looking at the economy. So what is our thoughts around this? Do we need to be patient with the economy, and is Vance angling himself for his presidential run in 2028?
Well, we can be patient, but it's not going to get better.
Were we patient with Biden?
No, not at all.
I mean, him going out there and yelling all this stuff is just another way to try and float ways to manipulate people into, hey, everything is just fine. So his MAGA crew will do that.
Strategically, Vance should try to speak less, because he's not charismatic. He strikes people as creepy, and maybe he thinks it's his job to be the president's cheerleader, but the more he talks, the more he harms his own political chances.
Well, speaking of harming chances, and I'm trying to get the people involved that brought this news story to me and everything along those lines, but it seems like not that long ago that he was kind of calling out his own wife because of her practicing a different religion than Christianity and everything like that. So what is our take on that? Because like I said, I'm trying to get some people that are affiliated with that particular culture. I believe it's Hindu and everything. But apparently he was trying to get her to convert and everything like
He
that.
says that he hopes that his wife will eventually convert to Christianity.
Yep, he said that in front of a extremely right-wing Christian organization when he went and talked to him, because they questioned his wife's faith, and he went in and said that at some point he's hoping that she's going to change or something like that, or something to that effect. But either way, that tells you what kind of person JD Vance is.
The people have been running side-by-side pictures of his wife 3-4 years ago and now. And, they talk about how being president ages you. Well, being married to the vice president ages you.
The video tape that I was saying that I saw of Obama, he actually mentioned that. He said he probably aged about what he felt like was about, I think, 40 or 45 years just being in the White House for those terms that he was there. So he actually mentioned that. He also mentioned, like I said, about his thoughts around the cognitive abilities of the current president and how he felt that it was lots of signs were in the armor that he tried to project as being healthy, but of President Trump. But that's something he was putting out there, former President Barack Obama. But definitely looks like he was saying that he aged quite a bit when he was in office. So it does seem like it is. I can't think of a president that didn't age when they went into office. I mean, you got the fate of the entire world on your shoulders and everything. So I can't think of a president that hasn't.
Plus, actual time passes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so.
Between the actual time that goes by, the 4 to 8 years, and the responsibilities that you are carrying with you, I imagine that everybody in that office has aged at least 10 to 15 years. And
Michelle Obama still looks pretty good.
That is true. She doesn't look like she's aged all that much. You can still see maybe an occasional gray, but not as much as
she remains a little bit pissy in a way that I like, where she says, people are always saying that she could win the presidency, she should run for the presidency, and she goes, yeah, you couldn't get 2 women elected. Why would I waste my time in that kind of effort? She's pretty straightforward in what she says.
Speaking of people being straightforward, I guess AOC is not happy about this meeting between Mamdani and Trump. So what is our thoughts? One, about AOC as a leader. Will she be a presidential candidate at some point or another? And what is also our thoughts around this meeting and what's going to happen in this meeting and who is it benefiting more than the other?
Mamdani benefits because he looks like he's willing to meet with the other side, and plus his whole demeanor. He's a happy guy. His whole vibe is, everything's going to be okay, and I'm happy with what's going on. And he has all these plans for New York, and I read an article, and a lot of his plans aren't going to go through, because he's just the mayor. There's a lot of other city government that would have to approve a lot of his stuff. And, he'll be okay with that too. He'll say, I tried, and, the city will go on as it has. It'll continue to be a very unaffordable, tough city that people still love because it's an exciting ass city.
Well, it's a very exciting city. I like
it's really easy because Mamdani will definitely look a lot stronger because a person walking into a lion's den always looks stronger than the lion when they walk in. So as long as he comes out as strong, walking in strong, standing tall, he's going to look strong. Trump is actually going to look a lot weaker because as much as Trump campaigned on, well, this man is a communist and all this, and I'm never going to do this. And if they walk out and Mamdani gets Trump to go ahead and say, hey, send me the money, Mamdani wins.
Mamdani is 34 years old. If he stands next to Trump, who's 79 and a half years old, he'll look young and healthy, and Trump will look his usual kind of crappy.
Yeah, he'll look his usual self. Speaking of people and issues, it looks like your former boss from a long time ago is back in the news because Jimmy Kimmel shared a theory about why upset Trump just got a bit murdery, and and then Trump stepped up his attacks on ABC and Jimmy Kimmel, saying the network quote unquote is get the bum off the air. So, and all of this came about because of the quiet piggy remarks and everything like that. So, as a matter of fact, Kimmel is saying viewers like you who keep us on the air. So, what is your take?
Jimmy is somewhat, I don't want to say bulletproof considering our recent history, but Jimmy has the gift of being really smart, really funny. Jimmy loves when stuff gets weird and stuff because he's tickled by it. So he loves when Trump goes after him. He freaks out a little bit, I'm sure, because it's a huge hassle for him, but he also loves it. And also, Jimmy has been on the air for nearly 23 years, one of the longest runs in late night. And I would guess that Jimmy, except for his concern for his hundreds of employees, Jimmy is like, yeah, I can stay on the air or not. I don't care. Like I've had my run. He'd be happy, if except for he wants to keep his employees employed, he'd be happy, retiring. So you can't make him scared by threatening to him with being fired.
Yeah, that makes sense. And speaking of entertainment news, there's some other entertainment news. Apparently,
one more thing: Jimmy's also an excellent producer. Mm-hmm. So if he did, he's not going to get kicked off the air. But if he did, he'd be producing half a dozen TV shows and movies within 6 months.
Oh yeah, he'd be doing other stuff. It looks like Megan Thee Stallion is in the news because there was a lot of people talk about deep fake, and there was a deep fake porn that was involving her, and she apparently gave emotional testimony in a federal defamation trial against the blogger that was involved in this. So, what is our take around this deep fake stuff, whether it's in porn or whether it's in other industries as well? But it looks like she is in court fighting against this blogger that was involved in this Florida case.
So, you've got Megan Thee Stallion is fearless, and she's smart. She's surrounded with competent people, and you can't embarrass her. She sings about wet ass pussy. She was a stripper. She's if you try to she doesn't care. There's nothing that, again, she's kind of bulletproof, that she'll do what she wants and needs to do, and she can't be intimidated.
Yep, she can't be intimidated at all and everything like that. The other interesting story is a lot of people follow the art market and everything like that, and Sotheby's had a big sale that made in a whole lot of money. They raked in that looks like $304.6 million, led by a $62.7 $1 million Van Gogh, and definitely a Frida Kahlo. And actually, Frida Kahlo was here, not here, but some of her artwork is featured here in Durham, North Carolina. I think that was about 2 or 3 years ago in the downtown area and everything. But her portrait sold for $55 million, setting her auction record. So there's apparently Frida mania going on as well. So any of you folks trying to get some of these masterpieces, because that's way outside of my budget.
So I've already got Frida on my wall here. Let me see if I can show you without So I made a giant Frida mosaic. There she is, out of little Lego blocks. That's the Lego Frida. And that portrait has been entirely overused. But yeah, it's sad that artists don't get residuals. That somebody gets 65, or somebody sells that painting for $65 million, and the relatives of Frida they're supposed to get a tiny percentage, but that law is not enforced. I don't think the heirs of Frida Kahlo will get any money from this, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, that is sad. I just saw this story that came across, and it involves entertainment, and I'm sure Trump will be jumping all over this, but apparently a 90s rapper was hit with a 14-year sentence for campaign finance crime that involved an illegal Obama donation, and that was the Fuji rapper Pras Mitchell and everything like that. So has anybody heard anything about this? Because it was apparently sentenced to 14 years in a multi-million-dollar scheme.
But a thing we should be talking about a little bit more is a Democratic congresswoman
Yes.
have we mentioned this? Has been indicted for stealing $5 million in.
I mentioned it yesterday. I didn't mention it today, so go ahead and talk about it. For sure.
I don't know. She what was it? FEMA funds or
it
something?
Was FEMA funds. It was FEMA funds.
$5 million is a lot of stealing.
That's a whole lot of stealing. I'm actually trying to get
Toby, you're muted.
Supposedly, the notion was that she had funneled $5 million from FEMA to her campaign in 2020. And $5 million is a lot, especially going from FEMA in 2020. But my curiosity, because who was the AG in 2019? Pam Bondi.
Right.
No. Bill Barr in 2019.
No, I'm talking about Florida, the Florida AG.
Oh, this is Florida bullshit? Oh,
yes,
boy.
Yes.
Okay.
So Florida AG in 2019 was Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi left, then went to work for Donald Trump in 2019 as well. What happened in 2020? You had all that stuff, all the elections that happened in 2020. So I'm trying to I want to do a little bit more research and figure out what was the relationship between those two, because it's the Department of Justice that is now going after this Florida AG or this Florida congresswoman.
Right.
And I don't know if her district flipped or if her and Pam Bondi had a falling out, because Pam Bondi was receiving a lot of money from had received money from Donald Trump at that time.
Trump found out that Pam Bondi could be bought cheaply. So around the time that Donald Trump became president in 2017, a bunch of people were suing him. Your voice, Nick, needs to.
Yeah, you got to go out. You got that thing going on.
A bunch of states were suing, including Florida, were suing Donald Trump for fraud with Trump University. Trump sent Pam Bondi a $25,000 campaign contribution, and she dropped the charges against Trump University. So Trump right there knew he had somebody who could easily be bought.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of that, hopefully Nick is sounding better and everything like that. But in the other news, an ex-GOP aide apparently paid a fetish artist to mutilate her, claiming it was an anti-Trump attack. So they actually paid somebody to fake an attack and everything. So this former congressional staffer has been accused of faking a politically motivated attack and everything like that. So I guess they were trying to win public sentiment.
Never heard that one. That's weird.
Okay. Nancy Mace staged an Antifa attack on herself a few years ago. So Nancy Mace is a Republican congresswoman, speaks out a lot, but often in a crazy way. And a few years ago, she said that Antifa, which we have to explain, it's not an organization. It's short for anti-fascist, but somebody calling themselves Antifa spray painted the sidewalk in front of her house and her garage door. And then people looked at somebody I used to work with, Bess Calb, compared the spray paint handwriting to Nancy Mace's handwriting, and they matched.
Well, I did check. I just checked the stock market today. It's up, so the economy is doing well. So I can see our whole panel is saying thank you, Donald Trump. Also, we notice inflation is down, much down compared to Biden. So the panel I can see is saying thank you, Donald Trump.
What is down? Wait. What is down? Nick, what is down?
Inflation is down.
No, it's not. Year to year, it's up.
Inflation is down.
Nick, you either do not know math. You do not know math, because inflation year to year is up. September of last year, for example, was at 2.7%, if I remember. No, 2.4%. Okay. Right now it's sitting at 3%. So I'm trying to go off the actual statistics. That is not memory. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. No. Nick, here's what I want you to do. Nick, you're not listening because you just come in here and like to troll because you really don't know what you're talking about. So again,
in 2025, Biden was 2.9% in 2024.
Incorrect, Nick. You got to look at the numbers, Nick. Nick again. Nick. You come in here and lie. Completely
No,
lie.
I'm actually
You're lying.
pulling it from the website. Are you telling
Nick,
me
you're lying.
smart assets, which I'm
Rick,
telling everybody can look at,
Rick,
is incorrect?
Rick,
Is that what
So,
Rick.
okay, unemployment is at a 4-year high at 4.4%. Nick would say that we're going to be seeing 5% unemployment by 2026. Yeah, the jobs numbers were so bad that the government won't even release the October. We'll never.
You know, I'm not.
Hey, Nick, and we only got a few minutes, and then we got to get to Sasha's Russia-Ukraine show. But by the way, Nick, he might need you in there as well because I think he's short of his regular guests and everything. But I did see an interesting article from Newsweek. Apparently, Donald Trump is facing articles of impeachment before Christmas. So this is something that I was not expecting. But there's articles of impeachment.
You guys are. This is. I love going to the show because it's like fantasy land. I mean, it's like going to Disney World. Where things are just made up as you go along.
This is not from Mark. This is from
okay. So anybody in Congress can introduce articles of impeachment, but you need to get a majority in the House to actually impeach him. And Republicans still have the majority, so no, he won't be impeached.
That's what I'm saying. That's not going anywhere. But I will give credence to Rick Rosner and the inflation and the unemployment. Unemployment is up. See, that is a problem. And see, the thing is, an objective person would admit that. Now, this panel is not objective.
Rick, hold on. Wait. Nick, hold on. Right there. Let's stay right there, Nick. Let's stay right there. You said, wait, Nick, hold on. Nick. You just said Nick. You just said that Rick was an objective person. So Rick, if you could look up September of 2024, what was the inflation? And September 25, what was the inflation?
I don't know. It's probably September. I don't need to. It's like 2.7 in September of 24, and 2.9, 3.0 now, I think.
So if we are saying that inflation is up, is that a lie?
Yeah, because I need to ask. I need to have a redirect question for.
Wait.
Redirect,
it's
please.
Not a lie,
redirect.
Also,
my redirect question is this: is that a monthly number or an annual number?
Wait. So the discussion about inflation has always been way too simplified to reflect what was going on. Biden's inflation had a lot to do with supply chains that were disrupted by COVID and took a long time to recover, and also piggybacking corporations that decided to increase prices because they knew they wouldn't get blamed. But that was never the discussion. Inflation now is a little bit hinging on Trump's tariffs. We don't know whether SCOTUS will uphold the tariffs or get rid of them. If they get rid of them, then inflation might very well drop because tariffs are. But
there's more than just the tariffs because of his uncertainty that he's placed in the market, which Sasha can speak to. When there's uncertainty in the market, what happens with the market, Sasha?
Well, what's happening right now. It's in disarray. It lost direction. The Bitcoin is basically, it's dying. Let's put it nicely. It's not dead. It's just dying. And when Bitcoin is dying, the stock market follows in about 2-3 months. So it's unraveling of the stock market right now. It's the death of the Bitcoin, and there is nothing to look forward. Even Nvidia with its spectacular earnings couldn't save the day. They just couldn't. It's just too much negativity in the market right now, in market forces. It's going down. It will go even more down. And, you have to liquidate everything, whatever you can. Bitcoin out completely. Gold, silver is maybe just something what can still go higher.
And then now, if we take into account really quick, Just let me get this one thing out because Nick's whole argument has been already debunked. Now we're taking into account with what everything that Sasha pointed out in terms of the uncertainty and how that causes problems. We talked about how we're at a 4-year high on the actual unemployment in terms, and actually when Trump came in, the unemployment was actually going down, but now it's going up. Then on top of that, the inflation, that year-to-year basis, yes, it was going down. It was on a trend down because if you look at January going to even September of 2024, trend was going down. Even when Trump got the inflation, and back in January, February, the inflation was actually lower than it was now. So the trend line is actually going up. Then if you look at the revised numbers, which also I can be backed up on, the revised numbers for August, if I remember, we actually shed jobs in August and not gained jobs. In September we did, but we shed jobs in August. Just wait until the numbers again come out, because my guess is that number in September will be revised downward. But either way, there's a troubling sign in the economy. So if anybody's saying that, oh, well, the economy's strong, like Nick is, he is incorrect.
Yeah, consumer sentiment. I don't know what.
On that note, we got to get ready to wrap up because we got to get to Sasha's show, and if anybody can join us over there, that would be appreciated because I think he's short on his usual 2 guests and everything. But that's the link that's in there in the chat and everything like that. But we got to get out of here.
All right, thank you.